Speaking of trades, the Kelsey Mitchell trade appears to be as good as a done deal. It seems like it is as good as a done deal. No one knows where she's going, but the Storm apparently are pretty confident. Pretty confident. Not Storm, geez, the Sparks are pretty confident that she's leaving and they want to get off her. Her agent, I think, has made it clear she wants out. And she's on a 1-year deal.
The trade call happened in the middle of the night, and the fallout was immediate. Kelsey Plum was reportedly told her bags were packed for Indiana, and she absolutely lost it. No one expected a multi-time champion to be handed over to a rebuilding squad just to pair her with rookie phenom Caitlin Clark. The locker room went dead silent as the news filtered through the inner circles of the league. Plum didn't just disagree with the move, she saw it as a total betrayal of everything she built. This wasn't about the money or the city. It was about the utter shock of being forced into a situation she never saw coming.
For Arike. How dumb do people think the Storm are? If you made the trade Arike for Kelsey Plum, you would have to take on more salary back. So it doesn't work out salary cap wise. And not only that, you have to deal with 3 years of Arike's awful contract, whereas Kelsey Plum's off the books in like 3 months. Nobody's taking on Arike's contract unless Dallas want to give them 3 first-round picks. Because I think the cost for Kelsey Plum is a first-round pick, and I think the cost for taking in Arike is 1.1 first round and a second round maybe. And if you're going to...
Rumors have been swirling for weeks, but the Kelsey Mitchell for Kelsey Plum swap is the one keeping GMs awake at night. It is being described by insiders as a deal that is essentially already done, pending the final paperwork. Imagine the pure offensive firepower of Plum and Caitlin Clark sharing a backcourt in Indiana. It sounds like a dream for the fans, but it is a total nightmare for Plum, who is used to the championship culture of the desert. She is currently on a 1-year deal, making her the ultimate high-stakes rental for a team looking to fast-track their way to a deep playoff run this summer.
Because I need to talk about the fact that they traded number 2 pick to the Storm to get her. And it's looking really bad. It's looking like the worst trade ever. Malonga to not make the playoffs. Like, Malonga to not make the playoffs. That is awful. All you had to do was continue to be shit for 1 more year. And you have Malonga and Awafam. The picks that were Malonga and Awafam were both LA Sparks picks. You traded away Malonga and Awafam for 2 years of Kelsey Plum and Ariel Atkins.
The technical side of this trade is a complete disaster for the accountants involved. Plum's contract is massive, and matching that salary requires some creative gymnastics that most teams aren't prepared for. Some fans suggested a trade for RK Ogunbowale in Dallas, but experts are calling that idea incredibly dumb. You would have to take on 3 years of a massive contract for RK, whereas Plum is off the books in just a few months. Nobody is taking on that kind of long-term baggage unless Dallas is willing to cough up 3 first-round picks. It shows just how valuable Plum is as a short-term asset right now.
Shrinks because Angel's close to making All-W team. Like, if Angel makes an All-W team this year, that's it. That's it. Your title window's done. Like, you have to get off one of Bree Jones. You have to get off one of Bree Jones or your guards to keep Angel, or you're probably going to lose Angel. Like, your title window, if Angel Reese makes an All-WNBA team this year, your title window's done. If you are out of the Atlanta Dream, it's over. So, if I'm Atlanta, I'm thinking, basically, we're giving them Jordan Canada. We're going from Kelsey instead of Jordan Canada, and
the Los Angeles Sparks are sitting in a very weird position as they try to navigate this chaos. They apparently want to get off her contract immediately, and her agent has made it crystal clear that she wants out. The tension has reached a breaking point, where the team is willing to take almost any viable deal just to clear the air. They are looking at the Golden State Valkyries as a potential landing spot, but that trade is much harder to pull off than people realize. If the Valkyries still had their original assets on the books, it would be the easiest trade in history, but right now, it's a financial puzzle.
I think they might make a double trade. As in, I think they can trade Lauren Betts for Kelsey Plum. Straight up. Because you've got Betts for 4 years. Kelsey Plum rental. A Kelsey Plum rental for Lauren Betts straight up. Works out salary both ways. And then, that frees up the trading of Cameron Brink. You can then go call Toronto back again and go, okay. Because you're not going to be able to afford Cameron Brink, Lauren Betts, and while De'Erica Hamby and Neck are making their big contracts. You go call Toronto, go, okay, cool. You wanted to trade one future first for Cam Brink. Okay.
There is a dark cloud hanging over the Sparks because of how they handled their previous draft picks. They traded away the picks that became Malona and Awa Pham just to get 2 years of veteran presence, and now they are looking at missing the playoffs entirely. It is being called one of the worst trades in recent memory. All they had to do was stay bad for 1 more year to secure a generational frontcourt, but they blinked. Now they are desperate to salvage something from the Plum era before she walks away for nothing in free agency. The pressure to find a trade partner before the deadline is immense.
Because you're not going to be able to afford Cameron Brink, Lauren Betts, and while De'Erica Hamby and Neck are making their big contracts. You go call Toronto, go, okay, cool. You wanted to trade one future first for Cam Brink. Okay, give us a future first, give us Laura Kaita, and we'll give you Ray Burrell because you have her restricted free agency rights. We're not going to be able to afford it next year. We will give you Ray Burrell and Cameron Brink for a first, Laura Kaita, and Maria Condé. Because you have Maria Condé on team control for 3 more years.
In a shocking twist, the Atlanta Dream have emerged as a team that might be willing to blow up their entire future for a chance at Plum. Their window for winning a title is shrinking faster than anyone realized. The reason is simple: the rise of Angel Reese. If Angel makes an all-WNBA team this year, Atlanta's salary cap situation explodes. They won't be able to afford their veteran core while keeping their young star. They are looking at the possibility of losing Angel entirely if they don't win right now. This desperation is exactly what might force them to overpay for a rental like Plum.
Plum going to Washington for Lauren Betts. I think that makes the most sense because I think Kelsey Plum wants a big payday, and I think the Washington Mystics will offer Kelsey Plum the 1-year Supermax. Actually, they can't. I don't think she's made an all-WNBA team. She hasn't been court. And they'll offer her 1-year max. And by offering her the 1-year max, then it basically means that you've got a situation where if Sonia Citron and Kiki Riafen don't make the all-WNBA team in their 3rd season, then she goes and signs another 1-year max.
The Dream are reportedly considering a package that includes Jordan Canada and Naz Hillman just to get Plum in the door. It's a move of pure panic. They would be giving up their defensive identity and their young depth just for a few months of Plum scoring. If you are Atlanta, you have to ask yourself if she even stays after the season ends. The risk is that you lose your future, lose your defense, and still lose Plum to free agency in the winter. But with the threat of the title window closing, they might feel like they have no other choice but to pull the trigger.
Juju or Madison Booker next year. Could you imagine Kelsey Plum at the point, Madison Booker / Juju Watkins the 3, Sonia Citron the 2, Kiki and Shakira Austin? Like, with the improvements of Citron and Kiki, with Kelsey Plum still in her prime and Shakira Austin's improvement, that's a championship level starting 5. It really is. This one makes the most sense. A lot of people are saying that she's going to go to Storm. Doesn't fit the Storm's timeline. The Storm are trying to be bad for 3 years. The Storm are trying to get Sarah Strong. It's as simple as that. The Storm are trying to get Sarah Strong. And if you could because of the versatility.
Meanwhile, the Washington Mystics are lurking in the shadows with a plan that actually makes a lot of sense. They are one of the few teams that could offer Plum a 1-year max deal that matches her expectations. They have a roster that is quietly becoming a powerhouse, with the improvements of players like Shakira Austin. If they can land Plum, they would suddenly have a championship-level starting five. The Mystics also have the second-best odds of landing a superstar like Juju Watkins or Madison Booker in the next draft. It's a situation that might actually tempt Plum to stay long-term. The most win-win scenario being discussed involves a double trade with the Sparks and Washington. Some analysts believe the Sparks could trade Lauren Betts for Kelsey Plum straight up. Since Betts is under team control for 4 years, it gives the Sparks the long-term stability they desperately need. This move would also free them up to trade away Cameron Brink. They could call up other teams and demand a haul of first-round picks and young prospects in exchange for Brink. It would essentially reset the entire franchise and fix their broken salary cap in one single afternoon of phone calls. That if the Sparks can pull off this massive reshuffle, they could end up with a collection of young talent like Maria Condé and Jess O'Sheet. It would mean they aren't going to be good this year, but their cap situation would be perfect. They would have an extra first-round pick and a dominant young big to build around for the next decade. For Plum, it means going to a Washington team where she can be the undisputed leader while they wait for the next generational rookie to arrive. It is a logical move that provides a clean break for everyone involved in this messy divorce. The Seattle Storm are also being mentioned in every conversation, but there's a catch. Most insiders think Plum doesn't actually fit the Storm's current timeline. Seattle is trying to be bad for a few years so they can secure Sarah Strong in the draft. They are looking for versatility and length, focusing on players who can play multiple positions like Malona and Awa Pham. Bringing in an established vet like Plum would actually hurt their chances of getting the number 1 pick. They are looking at the year 2028 as their true competitive window, which doesn't align with Plum's peak years. The trade deadline is set for August, and the tension is palpable across the league. Every GM is staring at their phone, waiting to see who blinks first. The odds of Kelsey Plum being traded are at an all-time high, and the ripple effects will be felt for years. If she lands in Indiana with Caitlin Clark, the offensive ratings will go through the roof. But the locker room chemistry is a total wild card. Plum is a winner who expects perfection, and joining a young team in the middle of a season is a recipe for high-intensity conflict. She didn't ask for this, but she might not have a choice. The idea of Plum being forced into this trade is what has the players' union on high alert. While trades are part of the business, moving a cornerstone player of her caliber against her will create a massive PR problem. She has given everything to her current franchise, and to be treated like a salary-matching asset is a tough pill to swallow. Sources say she was particularly upset about the lack of communication from the front office. One day, she was the face of the team, and the next day, she was being discussed as a rental for a team at the bottom of the standings. Indiana's front office is reportedly ecstatic about the possibility. They see Plum as the perfect mentor for Caitlin Clark, someone who has been through the fire and knows how to handle the pressure of being a superstar. They believe that even if she only stays for a few months, the impact on Clark's development would be worth the cost. They are willing to give up Kelsey Mitchell, who has been a loyal soldier for them, just to make this happen. It's a cold, calculated move that shows Indiana is tired of losing and wants to make a statement to the rest of the league. However, the chemistry on the court is a major question mark. Both Plum and Clark are high-usage players who need the ball in their hands to be effective. Would Plum be willing to take a backseat to a rookie? Based on her recent reactions, the answer seems to be a resounding no. She sees herself as the alpha, and being traded to a team where she might be the second option is insulting to her resume. This is likely why the reports of her losing it surfaced so quickly. She knows her value, and she doesn't feel it's being respected. The Sparks management is defending their position by pointing to the future. They claim that the current roster had reached its ceiling and that a total rebuild was the only way to eventually catch up to the top-tier teams. By moving Plum now, they avoid the risk of her walking away for nothing in free agency. It's a rip-the-bandage-off approach that is unpopular with the fans but might be necessary for the long-term health of the franchise. They are prepared for the backlash, knowing that if they land the right picks, the fans will eventually forget the pain of this trade. There is also the narrative of the Vegas dynasty beginning to crumble. For years, they were the gold standard of the league. But these trade talks suggest that the foundation is cracking. You don't trade a player like Kelsey Plum if everything is going perfectly. There are whispers of internal friction and a desire to move in a different direction. If Plum is the first domino to fall, who is next? The rest of the league is watching closely, ready to pounce on any other stars who might become available if the fire sale continues in the coming weeks. Critics of the trade argue that Indiana is giving up too much. Kelsey Mitchell is a proven scorer who has been the heart of that team through some very dark years. Trading her for a rental who might hate being there is a massive gamble. If Plum walks in the off-season and Mitchell is gone, Indiana is left with nothing but a frustrated Caitlin Clark and a hole in their roster. It's the kind of move that either makes a GM look like a genius or gets them fired within 6 months. The stakes truly could not be any higher for the Fever. As the deadline approaches, the social media activity from the players involved has been cryptic. Fans are analyzing every like and every post for clues about where Plum might end up. The silence from Plum's camp is deafening, which usually suggests that serious negotiations are happening behind closed doors. When a player of her stature goes quiet, it means the lawyers and agents are doing the talking. The next time we hear from her, it will likely be at a press conference, wearing a different jersey, trying to put a brave face on a situation she clearly detests. The impact on the fans in Vegas cannot be overstated. Plum is a fan favorite who has embraced the city and become a local icon. To see her traded away in her prime is a bitter pill for the community to swallow. There are already talks of protests and season ticket cancellations if the deal goes through. The front office is betting that winning cures everything, but they have to actually start winning for that theory to work. Right now, they are losing a star and gaining a lot of uncertainty, which is a dangerous combination in a competitive market. If the deal lands on August 12, it will go down as the most shocking mid-season trade in WNBA history. It changes the trajectory of at least 4 different franchises and shifts the career paths of several future Hall of Famers. The league has never seen this much movement among its elite players during the season. It's a new era of player empowerment and front office ruthlessness. Whether Plum finds success in Indiana or ends up somewhere else, the way this was handled will be a case study for years on how not to manage a superstar relationship. The possibility of Plum joining forces with Caitlin Clark still feels like something out of a video game. On paper, they are the most dangerous backcourt in the history of the sport. The spacing they would provide for each other would be impossible to guard. If they can find a way to coexist, they could lead Indiana to a championship much sooner than anyone predicted. But that if is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Basketball is played with one ball, and both of these stars are used to having it. The ego management in that locker room will be a full-time job. Ultimately, Kelsey Plum is a professional, and she will likely play her heart out wherever she lands. But the scars from this trade saga won't heal quickly. Being forced into a move and having your career path altered by front office desperation is something a player never forgets. The WNBA is becoming more like the NBA every day, with high-stakes drama and shocking trades becoming the norm. As the clock ticks down to the deadline, the only thing we know for sure is that the league will never be the same. The explosion is coming, and everyone is just waiting for the blast.